The office was quiet, just the usual hum of computers and the faint sound of mopping. No one paid much attention to the janitor, until he started speaking flawless French. Then German. Then Mandarin. 9 languages, effortlessly. The CEO, passing by, stopped in his tracks. What he did next left the entire office speechless. Every morning, Samuel arrived at the office before dawn, mop in hand, quietly cleaning the floors before the hustle of the corporate world began. To most, he was just the janitor, a kind smile, a nod in the hallway, and gone. But one morning changed everything. As Samuel wiped down the glass doors of the executive boardroom, he noticed a group of international clients struggling with directions. Without hesitation, he stepped in, first in French, then in German, and finally in Mandarin. The clients' faces lit up with surprise and gratitude. Unbeknownst to Samuel, the CEO, Mr. Carter, had walked in just in time to witness the exchange. Stunned, he approached Samuel afterward. "Did I just hear you speak 9 languages?" Samuel nodded shyly. "Yes, sir. I studied linguistics before, well, life happened." That answer struck a chord. Later that week, Mr. Carter called Samuel into his office, not for a reprimand, but an offer. He wanted Samuel to help bridge communication gaps in the company's global outreach program. Within months, Samuel went from janitor to language and cultural liaison, training staff and helping the company connect with international clients on a deeper level. Word spread. Employees saw their workplace differently, barriers dissolved, conversations opened up. Samuel's story reminded everyone that brilliance often hides in plain sight. The janitor no one noticed became the heart of the company's transformation. Miguel had been cleaning the same office floors for nearly 5 years. He was quiet, polite, and always early. Most employees barely glanced his way as they bustled through their day. To them, he was just the janitor. But Miguel carried a secret. One late evening, while tidying up after a global video conference, he overheard a group of frustrated executives trying to communicate with a foreign client. They stumbled through translation apps and mispronounced phrases. Miguel paused his cleaning, then gently offered, "Would you like some help?" Before anyone could answer, he flawlessly translated their words, first to Italian, then Japanese, then Russian. The room went silent. Unbeknownst to Miguel, the CEO had returned to grab a forgotten folder. Standing in the doorway, he watched in disbelief. "You speak 9 languages?" he asked. Miguel shrugged modestly. "Yes, sir. I studied linguistics before moving here. Couldn't find work in the field, so I took this job to support my family." The next morning, everything changed. The CEO called Miguel into his office, not to thank him, but to promote him. Within weeks, Miguel was leading cross-cultural training workshops and assisting with international negotiations. His fluency wasn't just impressive, it became essential. Soon, the entire company knew his name. Not as the janitor, but as the multilingual strategist who helped them connect to the world. Miguel's story became a quiet revolution in the office. A reminder that talent can be found anywhere, and that sometimes, the most extraordinary people are hiding in the most ordinary places. He didn't just clean the floors, he cleared a path to something greater. Every evening, long after the suits had left and the boardroom lights were dimmed, Jordan pushed his mop down the marble halls of Lexera Corporation. To most, he was invisible, just the janitor who smiled politely and kept the place spotless. But Jordan had a secret life. When no one was watching, he'd scribble equations and algorithms on scraps of paper during his breaks. Complex code, economic theories, and design ideas filled his worn notebook. Jordan had once been a top engineering student, but life had taken an unexpected turn, forcing him to leave school and take any job he could find. One night, fate intervened. The CEO, Ms. Reynolds, returned to the office late to retrieve her tablet. As she passed the break room, she noticed something odd, a janitor sketching what looked like advanced software architecture on a whiteboard. She paused, intrigued. "What are you working on?" Startled, Jordan tried to erase it. "Just an idea I've been playing with." She studied the diagram. "This is a solution to our supply chain bottleneck." "You figured this out?" Within days, Jordan was brought into a formal meeting. His ideas were groundbreaking, simple, efficient, and cost-saving. He was offered a position in R&D immediately. Word of the janitor genius spread quickly. Morale soared. Departments that never spoke before started collaborating. Employees began sharing hidden passions and side projects. The culture shifted from top-down management to talent at every level recognition. Jordan's rise wasn't just a promotion. It was a catalyst. The office never looked at potential the same way again. And all it took was one leader, willing to pause and see beyond the uniform. Every day, Mr. Ellis quietly moved through the hallways of Crestwood Tech, pushing his cart, polishing floors, and nodding kindly to passing employees. He'd worked there for nearly a decade, never late, never loud, always in the background. Most people barely noticed him. Until one December morning. The office was preparing for its annual holiday party. Decorations were going up, and departments were exchanging gifts. But one team had forgotten a gift for their visiting international partner. Panic spread until Mr. Ellis, overhearing the commotion, stepped in. "I might have something," he said softly, reaching into his satchel. He pulled out a small wooden box, beautifully hand-carved, intricate, and elegant. "I make these in my free time. It's a tradition from my family back home," he explained. The team was stunned. The visiting partner was even more so. The box reminded him of home. It wasn't just a gift, it was a connection. The gesture turned what could have been a misstep into a moment of deep respect and warmth. Word spread fast. The CEO called Mr. Ellis into our office, curious. That's when the truth came out. Mr. Ellis was a master woodworker, trained by generations before him. He had dozens of designs, but no platform to share them. By January, the company launched a collaboration between their design team and Mr. Ellis. His craft became a central feature in a new product line focused on heritage artistry. Profits rose, but more importantly, something deeper shifted. Employees started looking at each other differently. People asked questions. Listened. The walls between roles began to fall. Mr. Ellis didn't just give a gift that day. He reminded an entire company that everyone has something valuable to offer if only we take the time to see it. For years, Tomas quietly swept the halls of Virion Global. He was efficient, respectful, and unnoticed. Most people never asked about his past. To them, he was just the janitor. But behind the uniform was a mind fluent in 9 languages, shaped by years of study and world travel, before life took an unexpected turn and survival became the priority. One Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. A major overseas client arrived unexpectedly with their team, flustered and frustrated. The translation tech was failing, and no one in the office could bridge the gap. Meetings stalled, and tensions grew. That's when Tomas, mopping near the reception desk, gently stepped in. He greeted the guests in perfect Japanese, then continued in Korean, then French, seamlessly translating. Their faces lit up with relief. The CEO, Mr. Langston, happened to witness the entire exchange. "Wait," he said, stepping forward. "You speak all of those?" Tomas nodded. "And a few more." That night, the CEO stayed late, reviewing Tomas's personnel file and background. He discovered that Tomas had once been a linguist and cultural consultant, but circumstances had forced him into janitorial work. The next morning, everything changed. Mr. Langston offered Tomas a new role, head of global communications. Within weeks, the company's international relationships improved, morale skyrocketed, and Tomas became a mentor to staff curious about language and culture. But more than that, a shift happened across the entire company. People began asking about each other's stories. Listening more. Judging less. All it took was one CEO willing to see beyond the surface. Because sometimes, the most valuable voice in the room isn't the loudest, it's the one that's been quietly waiting for someone to listen. Late one evening, the office was nearly empty. Most of the staff had gone home, but Ben, the janitor, was still making his quiet rounds, sweeping floors, emptying bins, humming softly to himself. In the executive wing, CEO Danielle Harper had returned to grab her briefcase. As she passed by the break room, she heard something unexpected: fluent Arabic. Then flawless Russian. Then German. She paused. Peeking inside, she saw Ben standing alone, reading a children's book aloud, translating each sentence into multiple languages with perfect pronunciation. He didn't know she was there. "Ben," she asked gently. He turned, startled. "How many languages do you speak?" "9," he answered shyly. "I used to be a language teacher, before I moved here. It's been hard to get back into the field." Danielle didn't respond right away. She just nodded, thanked him, and left quietly, but she couldn't stop thinking about what she'd witnessed. The next day, she called him into her office. "I overheard your gift last night," she said. "And I have an idea." That idea changed everything. Within weeks, Ben was no longer pushing a mop, he was designing a company-wide language and culture initiative. He began offering weekly classes, helping teams connect with global clients and understand cultural nuances. Productivity improved. So did morale. But perhaps more importantly, the culture of the company shifted. Employees started sharing their own hidden talents, realizing they were seen as more than their job titles. It all started with a CEO who stopped to listen and a janitor who never stopped learning. Because sometimes, the key to transformation isn't found in a boardroom. It's found in the quiet voice you almost didn't hear.